there's no way I can manipulate that. That's not me.
But you're not meant to manipulate.
No, I know, but some skeptics would say like you're subtly manipulating it, but no. I'm experiencing this.
Yes, we'll go.
Hello, my name's Tim Previtt, and I would like to bring a video response to episode 5 of The Witch Farm, the podcast series from the BBC, investigating paranormal happenings, hauntings, awful, disturbing events at Hill Vanog. When I began listening to episode 5 yesterday evening, I began thinking, I need to share the video that I have of when I went dowsing at an ancient church in Wales with a chap called Lawrence Main. And then the episode goes to bring in Lawrence Main. So I thought, wow, I really do need to dig out this video and just frame it, present it, give context. So the context of the video I'm about to share with you. We'd been looking at a number of Neolithic Bronze Age sites in North Wales back in September 2005. The small group I was with, one of the party is in touch with Lawrence Main, and we called in on him on the Sunday of the 18th of September 2005, which was also full moon at that time. And then the next morning, Monday 19th of September, we were going to be given a little tour by Lawrence of places that he particularly liked and was very enthusiastic to share with us. One of them was this ancient church. He asked us not to name it, so I won't name the church, but it was a very atypical church. It had a north-facing altar. Very odd. Most churches, obviously, the altar's facing east, arguably towards Jerusalem, but this was north, so more of a pagan influence. There are some ancient yew trees in the churchyard, possibly a couple thousand years old. There's a mammoth tusk above the entrance and a mammoth kneecap, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I'm a sucker for an old church as it is, for a sense of connection to the land, the landscape, things that have gone there before. But this was quite remarkable. We got the dowsing rods out, and as I began dowsing in the north-south aisle of the church, I felt the rods wanting to rotate. So I lifted my arms out a bit further, and when I've dowsed before, the rods have either gone like that, or might have even just gone like that. But these rods, I could feel, were wanting to rotate. So I gave them the space to rotate, and they began rotating like a slow Chinook helicopter, like woo. And you'll see this in the video. I wasn't tilting my hands to help it. I'm skeptical of the ideomotor explanation in this, because if somehow my brain was making my muscles to control these discreetly to rotate, what's going on in the end of my fingers? I really don't get how the ideomotor effect would make my hands do that and get these rods rotating. As I went up and down the central aisle of the church, there was a particular point where the pull on the rotation of the dowsing rods was so noticeable. And it felt like I had plugged into a generator. It felt like I was in that stream of energy, making these rods float. And you'll hear Lawrence comment in the video that he's been there on some days and they were crackling with electricity. We went to this church very first thing in the morning. Later in the day, we were going on to look at some other ancient sites, Stone Circle, a couple mystical stones with interesting lore and legends attached to them. Each time I handled these dowsing rods for the rest of the day, I was getting kind of shocks up and down my arms, and that stayed with me until the afternoon when I got a lift back to a train station just into the over the English border. And there was a residue of this kind of vibe. So I know that I've definitely plugged into something that day and experienced something. But what was it? Was it these ley lines, as exactly as Lawrence explained to me and the party I was with, and as he explains in the podcast, or what? Something incredible, and remains one of the most strange, atypical experiences of my life. We were also approaching the autumn equinox, which that year was on Thursday, 22nd of September. So just the day after the full moon, approaching the autumn equinox. Some sites, some places will give you a kind of a kick around the key festivals of the year, the calendar festivals, and around sort of lunar, solar events too. I also feel that some places will conduct more of an experience to you depending on the person you're with. And certainly with Lawrence there, I feel that somehow he is a conduit or an enabler of something atypical to happen. You might think of it perhaps that there's some psychological suggestion or something going on there to look for a rational explanation. But I remain completely beat as to what was making those dowsing rods rotate. I struggle to really accept ley lines as a thing, but I know I had this experience. I know that I have used dowsing rods before to trace lines of water. My first experience with dowsing rods was with a Scandinavian couple when I was working at a house in Dorset back in the early 90s. And they got the dowsing rods out for me in one of my breaks. And I walked across their lounge and they were doing that. I thought, oh, that's interesting. But this, when I was out dowsing with Lawrence, just remains something quite remarkable. Was it him? Was it the location? Was it the time of year on the festivals? Was it like the psychological suggestion combined with the idiomotor effect making me have this experience? I was out with a druid for the day looking at ancient Bronze Age Neolithic sites, which is bang up my street. It feeds and nourishes my soul. One more thing I need to add in by means of further juxtaposition and contrast and insight as to these energies and ancient sites. Having had that euphoric experience, you'll hear and see me in the video at the end of my talky introduction here, long talky introduction. I am ecstatic, I am euphoric about what is happening. It is a really good vibe. I returned there, I think it was the spring equinox 2006, it could have been 2007, with the anticipation of a similar kind of vibe. The rods did a little bit, they didn't do very much. They certainly didn't rotate, and I didn't have that kind of high, wow, this is amazing. What I did get was a sensation of something really, really sinister, of dark. I was at the very, very back of the church with the rods, and I had a picture come into my mind of somebody hanging, and I wanted to get out, and so I did. It was a bright, sunny day. I'd gone there with the expectation of another happy, euphoric, dynamic experience. But what I had instead on that occasion was something, not so good. So what was happening there? I didn't have the suggestion in mind of something grim. So perhaps there is an innate power at this place, causing this place, which can be good, bad, indifferent, affected by people, affected by the time of year and the solar, lunar events and so on. Really, really interesting. I do need to go back there sometime. Thanks for the Battersea Poltergeist, the Uncanny series, and this for Witch Farm. I've been fascinated with the paranormal and ghosty stuff and ancient sites for a very long time. Well, I think it's the Unexplained series of magazines which came out in the late 70s, early 80s, which really activated my interest. Have a look at the video. Have a look at the rotation of it. I am not swaying my hands. I cannot work out how these muscles and my fingers would be making me go woo. So I welcome comments and analysis. And yeah, I look forward to seeing how the podcast series, How the Witch Farm develops, and how this goes.
Well,
This is quite exciting, isn't it?
This is good God!
Oh, you should be here some days. So you ask Sarah when at the boat you meet Sarah, you ask her when she first came here.
I have
And
never.
the electricity that we had. It was.
Do you feel it's like a generator?
We were alive. We were crackling with electricity, the pair of us. And the thing is, we both felt it, and we didn't dare tell each other for a few minutes. You know.
No.
And like, there's no way I can manipulate that. That is not me.
But you're not meant to manipulate.
No, I know, but so some skeptics would say like you're subtly manipulating it, but no.
Oh no.
I'm experiencing this.
Yes, we'll go and sit in the yew tree for a while and see what that does as well. Come on, we'll get nowhere. Go and sit in the yew tree for a while and see what that does as well. Come on, we'll get nowhere.